Greetings and welcome to Bridging the Gap. I'm Ian Hansen. This is intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. And Brenda, on today's edition, number 13 of Bridging the Gap, we felt it was an appropriate time. Yes, all together now. Whoa, just made the list, buddy. Sorry, that's from Stripes. We're going to talk about superstitions.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about creating your own reality as a subcompartment of this little TV dinner that you're going to enjoy, because I think that's pretty much what we're going to discover about superstitions, is it not?
Let's see what they say.
Okay, again, that's always what we start with, is let's see what comes through. And again, what comes through completely live and unscripted as it's filmed. Yes, we do record this and bring it to you later. We haven't gotten to a point that's good for everybody's schedules to do live casting yet, but we're working on it. Trust us, though, that very little editing is done to this program. It's also something that you can watch knowing safely that we're not trying to change or convince anybody's mind about anything that Brenda or I would say. We're just exploring possibilities and trying to have some fun with our existences here, because they're pretty cool.
They are, and it should be fun. We should enjoy it while we're here.
Yeah. I think we've got enough things in our life that aren't fun. Let's try and have some fun while we're here. You can have some fun with us on Bridging the Gap. Remember, go online. It's at two different places. One spot that it'll take you to, though, that'd be bridgingthegaptv.com, and also bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. And oh yes, on YouTube, all of our downloads are available there. Bridging the Gap on TV is our channel name. Brenda, you ready for this first question? Comes in from a viewer. We'll get us into our topic today about superstitions.
Let's do it.
This would be a pretty big one, actually, because this is heavy-duty stuff, and it comes in from Wilma, and we thank her for writing this question into Brenda Burgett. Remember, you can get your questions to her via those means I just told you about, the websites, bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com or bridgingthegaptv.com. There's a place that you can fill out a form or send an email. We'll get your question into Brenda. She'll address it on a future edition of Bridging the Gap. So Wilma's question goes as follows, Brenda. Do you think we cause our own illnesses? I have cancer. What did I do wrong? I'm a good person, and I think I need to know if my cancer is my fault. Wow, huge question from Wilma, and we thank her again for asking it of Brenda Burgett and wish her the best in her battle with cancer. What would you have to say to Wilma?
Well, there's things that I totally believe, and let's start with that, and let's see where it goes. Cancer is inside us all the time. Lots of illness is there. The potential for it is there. And when we find ourselves during a period of time with stress or environmental or whatever, then we can have this illness develop. So do we create our own? It's there, and when we don't do anything to stop it, then sometimes it manifests. Did she do it? This is a really hard thing for someone who's lost someone with cancer, and they'll say, what do you mean this person brought it on themselves? And I don't ever argue with anyone with that, because that's, when someone's hurting, it's not what they want to hear. But if you think about this, you are setting yourself up any time you don't take care of yourself. You'd eat the wrong food, or you allow everyday life to just eat your face. You know, stress is huge. You can't control it, lots of tension. Your body is working so hard to keep you healthy.
It's an amazing machine, too, I must say. It's a wonderful invention.
And all of a sudden there is a time when your body is just overpowered with the negativity or environmental or whatever. Do we create our own environmental things? No, but we put ourselves sometimes in a place where we can be there. So yes, we do create it. We do allow it. Sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't.
Okay.
Now you know it, so you know.
Now you say cancer, because I can see and hear the doctors right now that might be checking out this broadcast, and it might be the last time that they ever did, because this is probably not resonating with them too well after 85 years of medical school, in which they're $85 million in debt to try and pay off at their new wonderful job. Nice Porsche, by the way, back. It looks good in the parking lot of the student lobby there. So, cancer inside of us all the time, Brenda Burgett. Are you talking about from a medical perspective, from a physiological perspective, cells that are within us all the time? Or are you talking about in some other manifesto?
It's there in your cells, it's there in your body, it's there Every cell has the ability to fight off whatever it needs to fight off. But it's there. Cancer is there. Illness is there. If you have a family history of Parkinson's, then that is there. It's waiting to develop. It may never develop. It may never appear. You may never have to deal with it. Find yourself in a place where you're totally zonked out, overwhelmed, stressed, and then you are opening the door for this to happen.
Yeah, okay. So again, that's an answer that people may not have expected from Brenda and may not really want to hear, because it's always viewed, I think, Brenda, as, you know, really such, if not a death sentence, quite frankly, from your physical body, certainly an uphill climb to getting better. And I think that one of the problems that we have, and again, I hate to go off on these kinds of tangents, but modern medicine, for as wonderful as it is, and you should check into those alternatives, also has a lot of barriers that create even more stress on the body. And I'm not just talking about the toxins of chemotherapy and other treatments that are similar. I'm talking about having to deal with the insurance company, having to deal with the fact that you can't see your doctor for very long. And, you know, we don't want to make it a program where we complain about everything that's wrong with this country and why we should socialize medicine and all that. By the way, I don't believe that necessarily. You can go battle that on your own turf. It's just that society, our world, is more complex maybe than it needs to be. Should we simplify this if this is something that we hear? Because I've never gotten this sentence, quite frankly, and I hope to never have to hear those words from a doctor or anybody, you have cancer, but millions of people do each and every year. So if a loved one hears this, if someone watching this program hears this, how might they approach it right away to change things for the better?
Change it for yourself. Know your body, and have an idea of what you want to do or what you don't want to do. Take control of your own body. It is not your cancer. It is a cancer. It's not your MS. It is MS that is living in your body. Is it yours? It's yours if you claim it and make a life out of it. And you've seen people do that. First thing out of their mouth is, well, hi, I have Parkinson's. Hi, Parkinson's. What did you say your name was? Doctors are, for the most part, very loving, caring people. They're doing exactly what they believe is true, and they're wonderful for diagnosing what's going on. And there's a huge amount of them that are open to some alternative ways. Combine it, see what works for you. I don't think there's just one way for everybody. You've known people who've gone through chemo and lived as long as 10 years. They may have to deal with the devastation chemo has done for them, but they're alive, and that's okay with them. That's what they do. You've also known people, and we've talked to them, who have just gone the alternative way, and they're still alive, and they're fine as long as they want to be. The world is wide open to all of us. We can do what we want to do. Is there any one particular thing that's wrong? If it's wrong for me, it's wrong for me. If it's wrong for you, it's wrong. If you decide to go to a faith healer and have with rattlesnakes, I'm not going to tell you not to go. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm just going to say open your mind up and know that you can take control of your body, and it's cancer and you die. I don't want to ever lose anybody. I already have. But I know death is not scary if you believe that it's not the end of anything. But you can live, you can choose to live, you can do whatever works for you. I guess when we started, we were talking about, do we create it? We create everything.
I have to say too, Brenda, that we've encountered a number of people who have had debilitating diseases. Cancer has come up many times during the course of our work. The questions that are asked of Brenda during our live improvs, by the way, one that we're getting ready for, it'll have happened by the time that you see this, but look for it in a neighborhood phone book near you. We're coming. We're going to be there one of these days at the Hyatt or Sheraton that's nearby. So always got to be a nice hotel. Brenda
Kona.
insists on it. So Kona, yeah, we're going to go exclusively Hawaii as far as she's concerned. Go to the islands and never leave. But Brenda, we've seen these people. We've heard from them before. And I know during the course of my work in broadcasting over a decade plus, I have interviewed many cancer survivors and talked to many people who have lost people from cancer, but concentrating on those people who I get in front of me who have lived with this inside of them to one degree or another and who are still here after a short fight, a middle-staged fight, a long one, maybe that's ongoing, there does seem to be a common thread that I have noticed over time, regardless of what it is that they believe in. There does seem to be the resonance of the fact that something else is around me. Something else is here with me, is here inside of me, in addition to the cancer. And this is what it was that I latched onto to help get it out. And it worked for me. So again, I think we're sticking with what you said, which is, if it's 1,000 Western Diamondback rattlesnakes and somebody going, hey! Great, that might work for you. We don't want to say don't do that. Rattlesnakes are poisonous typically too.
Won't do that.
Unless they've been milked that morning.
And don't try this at home.
If it's chemotherapy through conventional medicine, it's chemotherapy through conventional medicine. But really, it is interesting, I think, for us to explore perhaps just that one vein, which is, it seems to me like that belief that I'm not alone in this, and it doesn't have anything to do with my doctor, my pharmacist, my relatives, my spouse, my people in my support group, who are all wonderful. They're dynamite, they're important to me, but it's that presence that's there that can't be defined that's the most important.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I have a real problem with the little support groups, and please don't stop doing support groups. Hi, I'm a survivor of cancer. What's your name? You know, who are you? They're identified by something they went through. It's like anything that anybody's ever gone through that is harmful or bad or whatever, it can either say who you are, it can be, you make the statement that goes out long ways before you. If you have cancer and it's gone, why would you want to give it any more?
Why would you want to carry it with you even in its absence, is what you're saying?
Absolutely. And it's like, but what happens if you're just who you are and you had there was cancer in your body at one time? You know, I just live where you're at, I guess, and it's very annoying to me. I don't think it's necessary to make a life of what happened to you or what might have happened to you or whatever. Get over it and get on with it.
But if it helps you get over it and get on with it, and you have to go for a long time, then for goodness sakes, go. Again.
If it works for you, then you want to do it.
Yeah. It's tough not to have an opinion. I'm so glad to hear that from Brenda Burgett, too, that creeps in every so often, because she tends to be so Swiss about everything, and then every so often we'll get a little glimpse of something that she doesn't like all that much, and I rejoice and say, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, are you taking pictures of us back there, Shuffy? What are you doing? Shuffy's behind the camera, by the way. He's our technical support. So why are you taking stills of us? Unauthorized stills.
Unauthorized meaning I'm putting you up on Facebook.
He speaks. He speaks. Yes, our Facebook page is finally coming 13 episodes into our webcast.
That's not his fault.
It's not my fault.
No, we won't blame it on him.
Thank
Not
you.
right now while he's in the room, at least. But
One
when
more
he's gone,
shot.
So. All right, Brenda. Well, we talked about the principle of superstition to start out with here, and again, the answer may be a little surprising about, do I create my own cancer? And in some ways, Brenda Burgett is saying, yes, you do. Do you also get rid of it in the same manner? Absolutely, you do. So going back to that first track, this being episode 13 of Bridging the Gap, we did want to talk about superstitions, because you might be a Triskaidekaphobian, and I usually would look this up when I had my terrestrial-based television show in the region. I think it's Triskaidekaphilia something a phobia. It's the fear specifically of Friday the 13th, which it isn't today when we're recording this. But anyway, black cats, walking under a ladder with Rip Taylor on the top of it with a bucket full of confetti, which is even worse, I think, in a lot of countries, except Romania and certain parts of Algiers, where they love him. He's a god. All things, all these things that we've heard of over the years. Don't do this. Don't open an umbrella indoors. I love Hawaiian days at our local supermarket where they have all the parasols at the checkout counters, because I say, I'm not going to check out my groceries under there. They're all going to ring up wrong. I'm going to get overcharged. All these things that we've created, Brenda, What about those? Let's go there and talk about superstitions. We create those, but is there any merit to them at all unless we lend it?
A lot of common sense in superstition. Don't open an umbrella inside because you're going to poke somebody in the eye. Don't walk under a ladder because it might get something on your head. Black cat, in my opinion, there's nothing that's more wonderful than seeing a black cat in front of you, behind you, or around you. It just gets down to what you want it to be. What do you want? What do you want? You want your life free? You want to have joy in your life? Then choose it. You want to be afraid of everything and have your life based on a set of rules that somebody else created for you? Hey, I'm not going to stop you. Be my guest.
Now, some of those have a very interesting history, and I'll let you do the research for yourself on Google, or God forbid you'd go to the library in 2012, but they still have them, and they're those things called books on the shelf. There's pretty interesting ones too. You can look up on this subject as in addition to it. But so Brenda, the stories with black cats and all these bad omens, and the number 13, and all these different signs. There's good ones too, obviously too. So we could concentrate on those. I immediately go to the ones that are supposed to be, signs or of ominous omens. We could talk about four-leaf clovers and blue diamonds and purple horseshoes and all those kinds of things like that. So, what about the creation of those and how it gets carried on? How does an idea like that keep continuing on from one generation to the next, to the next, to the next, and people latch on to it and it's just accepted? Is that part of conditioning, or is that...
I think it's probably part of conditioning, and I think we all want something to hold on to. Four-leaf clovers are... I used to say to my boys, and who, both grew up rather strange, and still are.
Well, look who their mom was.
But I used to say to them, if you find a lucky rock and put it in your pocket, you're going to have a great day. They always found a lucky rock, and it started their day off. It was good luck. They were happy with it. And you tell someone, this is going to happen because it's a certain day and they want to believe you, they believe you. There's a tremendous amount of power in words, like you for sure know. And it's just a matter of, I don't know, I'm at this time in my life, I am so into take a look at it, listen to it. If it works for you, it does, it doesn't, it doesn't. But the superstition thing is fascinating. A lot of superstitions were, I think, for control, fear.
Certainly, a lot of them are based in that.
Right. Anything fear-based or for control is automatically something I resist, always have. Good stuff, I'll take the good stuff. Make your choice.
This could all be based geographically too, I suppose, because three-legged toads are very good fortune in Chinese lore. And we already talked about the four-leaf shamrock. And I know on any given day, if you're near the Hanford Nuclear Reservation, at least where it used to be, you can find both in plentiful supply. So that would probably not be a very lucky place for you to be in, drinking a lot of the water or planting carrots or turnips or things like that. You could get sick and die from the rad count that's there. Again, it's all, I guess, in our mind, but Brenda, we have energy, we are energy, so we lend those things energy. When we find the four-leaf clover, or we find the lucky toad, or whatever it is, and we pick it up and we put it in our pocket and we say, aha! Now I got the mojo, now I got it with me. Before it wasn't there. So we need some physical assignment to this in order to believe that it works. We're very symbolic human beings.
We are. We definitely are.
So how do we use that to our advantage, but how do we also not let it become a crutch? Because I believe that it really can, if you continue to look for pennies on the ground and not actually go out and make any for yourself by a little bit of work, you might be at a disadvantage. I mean, how do we get around this and yet still use it to our advantage?
You make the choice. You make the choice. If it works for you and it's something that feels good, it's too simple. We need a big elaborate scheme. You walk around 3 times and you go south and then you straighten out again and then you pick up this thing. You're going, we need that. Why do we need the ritual? I don't know. Why do we do anything? It's so simple, it's quite boring.
Yeah, I suppose you could look at it as
if-
being boring.
I love my jade necklace. I have a beautiful jade necklace.
It is very nice.
And you gave me a really beautiful one. When I put them on, I feel good. And I feel energy. And there are rocks, we've talked a lot about this, rocks and jewelry and diamonds and whatever have energy. Are they able to do something? I don't know. They make me feel good. I feel good when I have them. So I'm going to enjoy them. I make the choice. If you're worried about a Friday the 13th, you're probably going to have a really interesting day. If you think it's a fun day, it's going to be a fun day. Choose, make your choice. This is what it's all about. We've got to step up to the plate and be accountable for who we are and what we are and make our own choices.
I think the biggest thing you should worry about with Friday the 13th is that they're going to make yet another remake of it.
Yeah? Yes.
Who knew you could get such traction out of a hockey mask and a deformed child who grew up to be able to, never die? I don't know how you could put that, but wow, what a movie.
Yeah, well, it got Jamie Lee where she's at.
Jamie Lee was in Halloween, actually. I have to amend that. Yeah, we were talking about horror movies with Shuffy, who's behind the camera again today with technical support.
I really don't watch them.
They're not my favorite things either, but they don't really bother me. I know when I was younger, I unfortunately got glimpses of a few that really bothered me. There's a scene in particular. This was almost like a facing of fear in some ways. We'll go off on a sidetrack here because we love to do that in the unscripted version of Bridging the Gap. There's two other people doing an scripted version of Bridging the Gap. They also give a nice insurance seminar at the end. You can check them out. Different channel altogether. So. It's a scene from American Werewolf in London, and it's when the pig Nazis, it's characters that follow him throughout the movie on his journey into full lycanhood, I guess. And they go in, and there's a home invasion, and it's really graphic and brutal, and I happened to see it when I was a kid. My brother loved the movie, saw it at the theater, but I was young and should never have been watching something like that, and it scared the living, it was bad. And then, I believe this was about 3 or 4 years ago, Halloween night, it was on a cable channel, and I'm in my mid-30s at this time, and I'm going, I can't watch that, it's too scary. I was still afraid to approach it, but I said, you know what, I'm going to watch this because it bugged me, it terrified me when so I made that choice, and I watched it and went, wow, that's a bunch of claymation and some of the worst that I've ever seen in my whole life, actually. This is the stupidest thing ever. I mean, I faced it and got over it. Now, there's no need to go watch that again, I suppose, Brenda, but, what about those fears? I mean, those are cultural as well, because there's really no need to be afraid of those monsters, and certainly those things that are fictional, and yet children most certainly are, and you can see why they are, because they're scary things, especially when there's, graphic homicides and things going on like that. I think that's the worst angle that was going on there. But what about that? Why does that exist in a person from day one? I have seen the rare example where children and adults have not been bothered at all by those things, and that scares me a little more because
they lie.
Are they lying?
Yeah,
they're afraid of it just the same. So what about those? Do we come in with those?
I think we come in with that. I honestly do, because I have my dog Weezy. We call him Weezy.
Oh yes.
He's a little challenged, I think, maybe. There's absolutely no rhyme or reason for him being fearful. I got him as maybe a 4-week-old, and he's had nothing but very tender, loving care and whatever. And I sneeze or a motorcycle starts, and he's terrified. Where did that come from?
Yeah, where does that come from?
Where did it come from? When I was 3 years old, and I heard something that made it just common, and I couldn't put my feet on the ground the rest of the day. It must be a part of us. It's a primal thing. I think it's I don't know. I wish I had.
So it could go a long ways back, or it could be something from a past life that just occurred.
Mm-hmm. Or it just could be part of what this human thing is. Fear puts us on guard, and it's not always a bad thing if it doesn't paralyze us. Fear is, whoops, if I do that I'm going to be hurt, or common sense and fear. Different things. I don't know.
I know for a while I was terrified of the mega asteroid thing, the global killer and the super volcano and all that, kept me up at night. It bothered me. And at some point, it just stopped.
Well,
It was just
tired
like,
of being afraid.
well, what am I going to do? I mean,
Yeah.
if millions of us die because we all choke on ash, or we get burned up because of, a giant fireball, what can you do? I have some theories on why those things actually aren't going to occur until humanity has its opportunity to sort them out. You'll get to it in my book, which is coming out
It's coming right
another
out.
45 episodes or so.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm not going to be burned up or any of that happen to me till I get to live overlooking the ocean and have several pool boys taking care of everything for me. Right?
Her and the pool boys, I swear. So, all right, Brenda, I want to close this because we only have we're supposed to only have 5 minutes left, but we can go overboard because
we
Shuffy's a little stuffy actually
we
on that whole time
definitely
limit
need
thing.
to
So.
give Chevy a plug here on his web.
All right, we'll give him the plug, and then I want to close this by asking you a
You
question.
give it to him because I don't have the right technology to talk about what he
Plug
does.
for his website. It's Cyan Technologies, isn't it?
Cyan?
Cyan?
CyanWeb.
CyanWeb.com. That's CYIN. Web, W-E-B. Not like Jack Webb, which was 2Bs.com. He appreciated the Dragnet reference, I think, for sure.
He's amazing. He does a great job.
He does.
Very easy to work with and very knowledgeable.
I look nothing like this actually in reality either, so he does all of this too. This is some trick that he's put together. So very good. We appreciate Shuffy.
Yeah.
Is that enough of a plug?
So you won't mind the fact that when this airs, you will not be shown at all in this. It'll just be me.
Well, I think slowly, we'll work into some ideas that I have for future episodes. We're only at episode 13, so for goodness sakes, let's keep our pants on for now. So, Brenda, I want to talk about those things that we had just talked about, those bad omens, those things that we might feel like are, the doll that is cursed, or it's a bad, token, I suppose you could say, things like that. Could we use those as a way to take those fears that are actually coming from inside of us and fuse them out of ourselves? Does that make sense? I mean, could that be a ritual that we could use to our advantage to say that I have a fear of a giant asteroid, I have a fear of a home invasion, I have a fear of having bad breath on my date, or leaving my Tic Tacs at home if I meet the guy of my dreams or the lady of my dreams, something like that. Whatever fear it might be, can we take those and condense them down and put them into an object like that out of ritual? I mean, does anything really happen?
Well, yes, in fact, that's important. That's something we're going to be marketing and become pavillionaires. It's going to be a little pill, and it's going to be about this color. And it's going to
Which color? Now, I have a lot of colors here.
Beautiful yellow-green.
Yellow-green.
And
Okay.
you're going to put it on our web, on the shopping thing, and it's going to guarantee, if you take it, all of the superstitions and everything you've ever been afraid of will go away.
Wow.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. I think they call that Thorazine, don't they?
He's our first customer.
Or morphine, one of the two. I think they already make that pill.
If you have something, face it, look at it. There's so many different. It depends on your personality. When I hypnotize people who have fears, they tell you how they want to be healed, and then they do it themselves. If I am afraid of a dog, then I'm not going to run up to a pit bull and start petting it. But maybe if I were in an area where there was a gentle puppy and I wasn't forced, that might work for me. If didn't care for masks that I would buy these masks. My house is full of them now. I love them. They mean nothing to me, except I do worry about the fertility mask.
At your age?
I am scared to death
She's still going strong,
that
folks.
we might have to worry about Medicare and childbirth. That bothers me. We can laugh about this. It's important to some people, and I'm not going to discount it. Oh, he just can't hardly keep his...
I feel like Jane Pauley's watching it from some vantage point in the room or something when you said that. But
Really?
who's the oldest mother? Well, I guess we shouldn't even get into that.
Yeah.
That doesn't track along with our theme today.
Well, it won't be me, I guarantee that.
Brenda, I forgot him, and I realized when I got in the car that I had forgotten him, and I thought, I forgot him. And then I almost went upstairs and got him, and I thought, well, maybe next time. And he ties right in with this, but we'll show him to you in episode 14. I recently found a dogu here in our home area, which would be quite rare. Now, if you don't know what a dogu is, it's D-O-G-U, so dog with a U at the end. Go look them up online. They are ancient Japanese artifacts. This one isn't ancient. I believe it was probably made somewhere in the middle 20th century, actually. It's iron, it's very heavy, but they are theorized by ancient astronaut believers that these are the depictions that ancient Japanese people took to form out of gray aliens who visited the planet Earth and were once quite abundant here when they were showing the Japanese
We know
kind of how to get started. We do know one, actually, and maybe she'll be a guest here one time. But I showed you this piece earlier in the week. You had a chance to get your own feelings off of it.
Amazing. It was amazing. I don't know, and I can't tell you why it was amazing. It felt good. When you told me about it, I said you have to have it. Go buy it.
You did. He was rather expensive, and this is probably not a time for extravagant luxuries like that in my own life.
It's always a time for extravagant.
See, that's why I love talking to her, because my wife said, you got it. And I said, Brenda told me to get it. I thought so. That was it. So.
Yeah, well, maybe, whatever.
Picked her up in a Rolls Royce the other day, too. She said, you got it. Well, Brenda,
A person like my mom says, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. Her dad used to say that. She's not, it's just a little side trip there. I think that the guy is amazing, and it has life, and it has energy, and it was phenomenal. It was fun.
And I think the neatest thing about it, Brenda, was there was a sense that I got when he was staring at me with those little coffee bean eyes. Actually, they're pretty big coffee bean eyes from out of the case. And something that I think you didn't tell me but came through when I first told you about him before you said, go get him
Now.
and spend the money. She knows the dealer, actually, down there at the antique store where I got him.
I get a cut.
Was that he belonged to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's really cool to start exploring too, to think that, did you own this object in a past life? Is this an object that has now found you for some reason in this life? The answer could be yes to both very easily.
Possibilities are there.
Yeah. And that's what we explore in Bridging the Gap with Brenda Burgett each and every time around. Spiritual advisor and intuitive medium she is. I'm Ian Hansen, your host for the program, Bridging the Gap, exploring the mysteries that are in that gap. We want to look through the mist and try and get to the other side eventually, Brenda. And today we talked about superstitions, and also want to thank Wilma for her question about cancer and if she caused it. And again, Wilma, if Brenda's answer caused you maybe a little bit of upset or internal upheaval because you weren't expecting the answer, explore that answer and get your own answer. That's the whole idea of Bridging the Gap, is to get your own answer to these things. So just use what Brenda said as maybe a tool and see if you can't define it for yourself, and we wish you the best of luck with that. Certainly not that you would need luck, not that it really exists, but if you believe it does, it most certainly does. So thanks to Sheffy behind the scenes as well. Thank you, Sheffy. He waved. It was a really good wave too. So Brenda, until next time.
See you next week.
Yes, we will. Again, remember, we're online, bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com, bridgingthegaptv.com, and oh yes, on YouTube, it's Bridging the Gap on TV. For Brenda Burgett, I'm Ian Hansen. Until the next time, enjoy your existence. We'll see you soon.